how's that? I said, they're petty officers. Okay, he's in a hurry to get all the pictures taken. So that's how I ended up with probably twice as many as other companies. So the petty officers, because I had everybody as a PO to help out. But it really saved time. But anyway, there's a guy, I don't know, I think I brought a book down at 210. You look in there and you find a guy named Leon Johnson. And he is good. Whatever my mannerism that I'm showing or how I'm talking or whatever you've seen, this guy was better than me. He was good. In 5 weeks, he had picked up my habits. For this particular day, how to find out, I hadn't left to go home, so I came to the barracks, and our barracks was up topside, but the guys were down in the wash area washing their clothes and scrubbing. He was at the window, and he was giving them all kind of directions and telling them to do this, and I heard him. I said, that sounds like me. I said, how could that be? And I'm standing behind this guy. He didn't know I was behind him, so I just stood there, and he kept on. And the guys down they were washing their clothes, they were giving all kind of signals, trying to tell us, I'm behind him. He wasn't listening to that. He kept on and on, and imitating me. And finally, it dawned on him, he thought somebody was looking at him. He turned around, and if it had been a hole that small, he'd have crawled in it. Until he thought I was going to do, I don't know what he thought I was going to do to him. I told him, man, you are good. I had to give him all kind of compliment. So if you go to look at book 210, and I brought that one purposely to kind of put him in this story. His name is Leon Johnson. So that was my fun company, and we did a lot of interesting things that differ from other companies. And I used to show them all kind of parade maneuvers and everything of how to, in other words, you're marching down the road, and I fixed it so that instead of going around and making a big left turn like that, I had a woven it, I can't remember the detail, but how they could turn around in a smaller area than this and turn around and go back the other way and still stay in formation. Kind of different from when I first, my company commander, when I first went in 44, he was a first class. He was a track star at UCLA. And at that time, he carried a saber. And he told us that if we didn't keep up with him, he was going to slice off our ears. Now, I don't know if it showed mine up there. I guess it's the kid on the right-hand side. You can't see it, but anyway, the petty officer carried the saber. But at that time, 44, I couldn't be to carry it. We were all scared that he would. And he had a long stride, and we had to run every place we went to keep up with it, because he told us, if you didn't keep up with it, I'm going to lob your ears off. So I can imagine. So I'll tell you what, by the time I got out of boot camp, I was in good shape.
I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And when you push boots, no, I'm okay.
All right.
When you push boots, you have to push two at a time. I mean, one right after the other. Then you get a rest period. It's what they call R&R. They send you back to the rear and get a little rest and recreation. But anyway, I decided that I picked testing. And that's where the recruits, they have to take weekly tests to see what they've picked up in the schools and whatever. So during that time, that put me back to 210. No, you can stay where you are. And so when I was testing, across the street is what they call reevaluation for recruits, called 4013. That's to rehabilitate a recruit that's not keeping up for one reason or another. Studies or cleanliness or discipline of some sort. So I could look out my window and I could look over there. Well, this friend of mine, he happened to be one of the instructors there. So he come out the front door. Well, this recruit was reporting there from his company. He had a sea bag on his shoulders, and he was going up the front door. And old Evans told him, where are you going? He said, yeah, I'm supposed to report to 4013. He said, well, you got to go around the back. And he said, no, my company commander told me to come right here with my sea bag. He's still holding on to it. And Evans told him about 2 or 3 times he would not obey. So the kid decided he's going to do it, go on his own up the step. So instead of letting go of the sea bag, Evans, he had picked the bottom up and he was going to throw it out on the ground. The kid held on. The sea bag and him all went up, all on the ground and everything. Well, the point was, company commanders, they had all the little devious ways that they want to get back at a recruit, trying to make him do what they want to do. And I know he told him, he's going to put him in more trouble. You go through that front door. I don't care what anybody try to stop you. You going through that front door. Recruit, yes, sir, he told me to do that. And that's how he got in trouble. I just thought, just happened to look up at that time and saw it. I thought it was kind of funny. Oh, heck.
What about all the Johnsons and the Jones that you
Oh,
had?
there was one company I had, I think that was 70, was that 248? I think it was 248. Names. Everybody goes by their last name here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine you having a company that had 5 Smiths, 6 Johnsons, 8 Jones, and you're marching down the road and you see one of them getting out of step. And you say, Johnson, get in step. Can you imagine what's going to happen? all the Johnsons is going to get out of step. Now you got a problem. It took me about a week. I said, uh-oh, this ain't working. I better start learning. Then I started learning first names. So I got to be fairly good with holding on to names. But that was one lesson I learned about pushing boots. You got to do a little more innovation and trying to figure out what you can do to help yourself.
Okay, what about the
This is my help.
to the testing? You would go over the questions.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is where 210 comes in. After working in testing, you naturally every week or every day, you might render 4 or 5 tests to the recruits. And you get to see them on the board, and then when you're grading them and everything. And then we also had in our company what they call a study manual. So I used to look at that, and what I did, when I first started this company, I said, I want to make this a fun company. So each day I would take the textbook, and also by being in testing, I kind of knew what was going on. So I'd take a piece of paper and I'd write out maybe 10 questions, and then I had the answers. The first week I would read off the questions. Now we're marching. I said, I'm not going to let these guys just be marching and saying, doing nothing, not thinking about anything. I was thinking about other than, well, this is miserable. I shouldn't be here. I want to keep them alert at all times. So as we're marching, I used to read out a question, then I'd say the answer. And I did that for now this is the first week. I do that for maybe a couple of days. No matter where we went, I marched with them. The second day, I turned around and I said, okay, I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to say the answer and you tell me the question. And I do that. And then the next week, I did the same thing, pick out different questions and do the same thing as we were marching. So it kind of kept them alert at all times. So when they came up to first testing, and man, they were so amazed that they were able to pass the test as well as they did. And then this one kid came up to me and said, Mr. Vickers, he says, I remember you calling this question out. He said, but I still thought it was a trick question, and I got it wrong. So that was the part to where I did all kind of different things in trying to keep them motivated and keep it fun, as well as I thought that that was my reward for being over there for 4 companies. It's a lot different than that first one.
You want to talk about your cousin and Charlotte's uncle?
Oh, okay. Charlotte's uncle. I think she's got a picture.
Yeah.
There he is. That's Charlotte's uncle. Now he was a mechanic in the Tuskegee Airmen. And then on the side over there, that's my cousin William T. Mattison. And Lord knows, let me tell you, in my family, I came from a big family. Our great-grandpa, how many have heard of the Trail of Tears? Well, my great-grandpa was in that movement, and he was supposed to go down to Oklahoma. And he fathered 25 kids. Well, he had 12 by each wife, and 1 over the fence. You know, I was 70 years old before I found out 1 over the fence. My cousin laughed at me. He said, "Don't you know what that means?" I said, "No." He says, "That's 1 out of wedlock." I said, "Well, that's the first time I heard of that, 1 over the fence." Well, anyway, I'm considered in the second group. Now, the first group, it already spread out throughout the United States. But the second group, it went into Conway, Arkansas, in a little country hick town. Like I said, some of you heard of it, some of you haven't. Okay, I'll ask. How many of you heard of Conway? How far are you from Conway?
About 45 minutes.
Okay, are you? Is that north or south?
South Hot Springs.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, you know where I'm talking about. Small town. Well, anyway, that's where William and I was born and raised. He's just a few years older than me. But anyway, we both went to the same little raggedy school, read out of the same little raggedy books. In fact, I think I read out of some of the books he was using. Well, and our uncle was the principal. I'll tell you right now, I learned by fear. Because my uncle, if you didn't learn, he walked around. I know you've all heard of the barbers use these razor straps and sharpener. That was his whip. And Buddy, he didn't mind using it. And all of us relatives used to call him the meanest man in town. But I tell you what, I think Theodis, now William T. Theodis, he, like I said, he studied with the same little raggedy books that I did, and he went on to become, he was squadron commander of the 302nd Fighter Squadron. Anyway, I'm amazed at the knowledge that he had and what they did. Not only him, but all the other guys. And so I started looking at, there's a book down there called The Lonely Eagles. I highly recommend it. There's a few pages in there that has my cousin's picture and name and everything. And I started looking at some of the pictures, and the majority of those guys that was in the Tuskegee Airmen came from little old country hick towns like we had there in Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, all of that. And yet they were down there learning how to fly. And I say that to say that when they were training this particular time, the only way that they got to go overseas, please believe me, I don't know if this is a fact, but when Eleanor Roosevelt, President Roosevelt's wife, went down, she paid a visit. So they had a little review, and the guys all lined up, and she was walking down through among them, and she got to this one guy, and she pointed her finger, "Take me up in the air." And my cousin was telling me, he says, after it's all over, he said, that guy, he a friend of his, he says, he says, I sure wanted to change my shorts before I went up. Scared to death.